Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pucking Around Podcast. So quickly get into what we're going to talk about, and then I'll introduce everybody, and we'll get right to it. We are going to talk about the firing that happened in the NHL this past week, and that was John Tortorella got let go by the Flyers, replaced by Brad Shaw. We'll go over that. Alex Ovechkin is getting really close to the goal scoring record. He is, as I believe, as we're recording this, he's 6 goals away, or is it five?
Five.
He's 5 goals away, so it's going to happen probably really soon. So we're going to talk about that. Rogers and the NHL just re-upped a new deal, or it's just about to happen. The NCAA Frozen Four is going on, so one of our co-hosts here, Matt, is going to talk about that. He's kind of up on that.
Hi, everybody.
That'll lead us into some prospect talk, and there were a few signings for the ELCs today, and then got a clip of Brendan Gallagher of the Canadians talking about the refs, and we're going to talk about that. And to do that, my co-hosts are going to help me with that. And next to me over there, and I always get this right. Oh, got it right this time. My co-host over at Hab Normals is Matt Norton.
What's up?
And then right down there below me from Flyer Gonna Flyer Up podcast is Alex Fournette.
The tank is on full steam, but unfortunately, we didn't get the memo over the last couple games.
No, you're going on a win streak, bro. You fired Torch. You're winning out.
Pull the net. Pull the net. No. We're playing 6 skaters.
It'll work out. And then down next to Alex there from Flyer Gonna Flyer Up, and our newest member of Don't Pug with Media is Eric Martino, and a fellow Montrealer. Yeah.
That right. Proud Montrealer, and proud to be here tonight walking hockey with you boys.
Yes, sir. We're going to talk some hockey. All right. So because I didn't hear what he said, but because the first topic is a Philadelphia Flyers topic, we're going to let the boys down there talk about or let you know what happened with the firing. One of you guys take it away.
Eric, why don't I put this in your hands, how I went over on Flyer.
Well, yeah, John Tortorella got fired. Apparently there was some stuff going on behind the scenes post-trade deadline where it sounded like Torts was really not too happy the direction the team was going. Then there was the whole Cam York situation. So apparently they got into some kind of heated argument. Now it wasn't clear if it was after the Toronto game, during the Toronto game, but it happened somewhere around there.
I think it was after.
But see, that's why I'm getting conflicting reports. I'm hearing it would happen after, and then I think it was today I heard like someone say that no, it was like between periods. Anyway, what point is they got into some kind of heated argument where things were said that apparently could not be taken back. That's pretty much what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Plus, then you put that in with all the comments that he had afterwards, where now some people are saying that maybe they may have been misconstrued, like what he was trying to say. But regardless, like he was in Toronto in front of Toronto media and everything, and he basically said that he's not interested in coaching a team that's going in this direction. Like I'm paraphrasing it. But and like he's out as coach, and for some reason the Flyers still haven't lost since he's been gone. So
new coach bump,
exactly, and
gotta be what it is
for a team that's in a rebuild. Like trying to get that a top 5 pick is pretty much should be the goal, and right now we're kind of playing ourselves out of it. So yeah, no, look, I think this needed to be done. Like we've discussed this on Flyer, but like this needed to be done. The way the team was going and the way things were happening, it didn't seem like Torts was happy being there. It didn't seem like the players were happy with him being there.
He wasn't happy being there. A coach that's happy where he is doesn't say what he said about I'm not interested in coaching a team like this.
Exactly.
When I read that, he's going to get fired, and he got fired the next day. But I didn't know about the incident with Drysdale at the time. Cam York at the time.
Yeah, and look, like I mentioned on Flyer also, like John Tortorella has never been in this kind of situation before. He's always taken over either a young team that's ready to take that next step, or an already established team with veterans and young players on it like simultaneously. So I'm sure like this was really hard on Tortorella. Maybe this, it's not what he envisioned he was getting into. So you know what? I think maybe that at this point the right decision was made.
I kind of think what he said there, that when he said, I'm not interested in coaching a team like that, at this point in his career, when he's basically got he's going to coach maybe one more year or whatever, he's not interested in doing that. And I kind of get it. It's not really something you should tell a reporter, but I kind of get where he's coming from, right? He's at the end of his career. Does he want to do coach in that situation? He's a win kind of guy. He's there to win games. He doesn't, so I kind of get it.
I think the issue truly just came with the fact that he said it to the media. Like, if you say that behind closed doors,
right,
you don't air out the dirty laundry that you did, this situation might not be as bad, because now you're pretty much telling. I don't think this is what he was directly trying to say. I mentioned this on Flyer too. I think what he was just saying is no one really wants to coach in a situation where the games are this rough to be. They had lost 11 out of their last 12 at the time. But again, it's something you keep behind closed doors. You don't air it out in front of the media, and you cause that type of friction, because now you're pretty much, you always praise how you have your team's back, but when you say something like this, you're kind of contradicting yourself, even if it's not your intention at the same time. Keep it behind closed doors. And this was not the only issue, is what we've heard. Danny had said in his interview with the press that same day that this had been something brewing since the trade deadline. As Eric had mentioned, they did not like the direction that he did not like the direction that the team was going in. Tortorella had been patient for the last 2+ years, and he wanted to be pushed into a win-now mode. The Flyers were not ready to go that way. They're ready. They want to stay in the path of the rebuild. And Danny said, listen, we're selling off our assets. This is not the year we want to push for a win. Just kind of like last year. Even when they were in a playoff spot, they showed Son Walker for a first-round pick. So that pretty much tells you all you need to know. Danny is not diverting from the rebuild plan that he has. And Tortorella, being in the type of coach he is, he's a guy that gets more out of veterans and wants to be in a win-now position. And at his age, I think he's 66 years old, he can only probably have so much patience for said rebuild. So when all the pieces are put together, they probably had multiple disagreements all year. This is probably what led to the Kolosov call-up, because as we mentioned on Flyer, there had been conflicting reports that Tortorella and Fedotov didn't see eye to eye either. And I got wind from a source that Fedotov wanted out. Maybe that has now since changed, since Tortorella has since been terminated. So
yeah, it probably has.
I think that was probably the direct reason why Kolosov was indeed called up. So,
but when you said this probably going on all season, I don't know. I'm thinking back
not all season
to some of the interviews. But wait, I'm thinking back to some of the interviews with him. For a good chunk of the season, Tortorella seemed invigorated with the team, like happy to be there, happy to coach these guys. And then I think at some point something changed. And I'm wondering, maybe whatever was up with him in York, maybe that started to happen there, and that's when it changed. But I'm sure I saw plenty of little press conferences with Tortorella this year early that he seemed really happy with the team and happy doing the job and all that. So,
as Danny mentioned in his interview, this had been something that had been accumulating over the past couple of weeks. He said since the deadline, I truly think it had started when Farabee and Frost got moved, because Morgan Frost is John Tortorella's whipping boy. Not to put any disrespect on Frost, but that seemed like the guy that he always seemed to pick on.
So maybe he started picking on York when he was gone, and that started a thing.
And York is a very to-himself, calm type of guy. So if you set him off, this must have been something that was building. So when Frost, Farabee, Lawton, Kuzmenko, and Eric Johnson were all sold, Tortorella obviously didn't like the direction where things were going, that the Flyers are in the envisionment of this youth movement. You bring in a guy like Ovechkin, you bring in another first-round pick, you bring in a third-round pick for Kuzmenko.
Which most coaches should be happy with all that. But at the end of his career, he probably saw another year doing that as like a big, like a long, I don't know if I can do that, type of thing,
I think the
Exactly.
plan was that they were going to probably have a sit down with Tortorella at the end of the year, see where his head was at, see where the team's head was at. And if they were still on good terms, maybe they would have had that handshake agreement and said, okay, John, I'll send you up in the upper management, see where things go from there. I believe Eric mentioned something too, that he had a theory that maybe they just didn't have a position for John, and maybe that added fuel to the fire as well.
Would be, right?
We don't know that for sure, but that is a pretty interesting theory that could have potentially spiraled this entire issue or added fuel to the fire, I should say.
Because I said this to somebody, I don't know if it was Matt or other people, but like if they fired him, I don't did they really have a plan for him next year? Like maybe not, right?
Know. That's where that sit down at the end of the season would have probably came to.
Yeah, probably.
And said what they envisioned. I'm sure John would have probably had his disagreements, and maybe they would have either mutually agreed to part ways, or they would have had some level of agreement to send him up to the press box and see where things led from there. I think it was pretty likely, even if this falling out didn't happen, that John was probably in the makings of his final year. I said a few episodes ago on Flyer, I thought it was a 50-50 shot, but that was before this implosion began. So
no, I think so. Here's the thing: I want to know what the hell him and York fought about.
It was probably just based off the fact that he sat him, and York just lost him.
But I mean, I want to know what was like. I'm really curious now. What was said between them that you can't go back from, right?
Probably called each other names, most likely.
Gotta be worse than that. Must be
I think York just blew up on him.
Anyway, we'll never find out.
Called him an old wrinkly fuck or some shit.
Whatever, but it's something that it's got to be worse than that. I mean,
I don't know what it is. I'm just kidding when I say that.
Whatever. Yeah,
it's too bad. We'll never find out. Probably.
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't say we'll never find out. I would not be surprised if some chinks come out and some people start spewing shit in the summer. I never say never.
We got to get Jamey on that. We got to get Jamey on that to investigate and find out.
I don't know even if Jamey does find out, I don't know if he'll do it. He doesn't want to put some bad limelight on.
Well, obviously, you got to be careful. Yeah, you probably can't put it out there. Anyway, I don't know. I got nothing else to add on Torts, to be honest.
Nordy,
do you have anything to add on the John Tortorella situation?
Oh, he's here. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Blocked picture.
I forgot Matt's here.
Not really. I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I think it was coming. Towards this type of guy, I just think he's more suited to coach, a team that's, either in the mix, ready for the playoffs, or already in the mix. He's not really a coach that I would put in charge of a team that's still in a rebuild. So, not really surprised at all.
And that's an interesting point you make. Will John Tortorella find another job elsewhere? Possibly. We've heard rumors about that. He originally stated that he wanted the Flyers gig to be his last job, but with how it only lasted less than 3 years, and he probably had some level of unfulfillment here. Outside of Vancouver, this is the only job that he's ever had where he didn't make the playoffs. I don't really count Vancouver because he was there for a year, and that was a nuclear warhead that just exploded.
Oh, that was a dumpster fire, man.
Yeah, maybe he looks at the situation and says, okay, maybe I do want to try it one more year elsewhere. I've heard the Bruins' name get mentioned. Who knows? They're in the midst of a rebuild. They should. But
1 year? You think he's looking and go, well, maybe I'll go.
No, not 1 year, but maybe like a 2-3 year deal and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Like I think like Boston, I don't know, because I don't know what they're doing also, because at the same time, Boston has the goalie, has a defenseman, has the superstar winger.
They don't have the scoring depth. They have one line now.
They're not in win now mode. They're not in win now mode.
Exactly. They're in a retool-ish kind of mode. But then again, at least they have the pieces where if Tortorella would go there, you could see Boston maybe turning it around in 1 year.
Okay, but also he's just come off of this shit, whatever, in Philadelphia. When you think he's looking at Boston and going, wow, do I want to possibly go through that again?
Well, imagine him and Sweeney colliding heads. That would be fucking cinema must watch.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if Boston is.
I think Torch would beat the shit out of Sweeney, to be perfectly honest with you.
but seriously, I don't see that as a
No,
personally.
listen,
I don't see it as
think
a
that
fit.
would make too much sense either, because it's a team that is probably going to go in the younger route, especially now that they made that fire sale that they did to get some picks and assets. They added Fraser Minton. They added a first-round pick in next year's
Fraser
draft.
Minton.
And
Fraser
especially
Minton, sorry.
after making the mistake, which might have been a mistake, letting Montgomery go. Look what he's doing over in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And their results. They're going to make, I would think, a better choice and take a little bit more time to make the right choice. I would think, but it is Don Sweeney, so maybe not.
Well, one of the reasons why we originally brought up Boston is because they're in a little bit of a situation with the locker room that we had when he was brought in.
Mhm.
The Flyers had a really crappy locker room and a culture issue. The Bruins has had some rumors that there's been some friction in their locker room. Yeah, they're not in win now mode, but a guy like Tortorella will demand accountability and respect, and that type of bullshit won't happen there. So that's why that team gets mentioned. Maybe Ottawa too, if they end up faltering early enough. That's a team that has a share of veterans that could be more of a win now mode. That's an interesting team you can potentially think about.
I would also think more, I don't know, for me, Torts at his age, now he's done, like they're, like really, you're hiring, like, shouldn't you be bringing in a more modern?
I agree. No, listen, I agree, but this league has been known to recycle so many.
Yeah, no, true. You're right, and their GMs have been known to shoot themselves in the foot many times. So yeah, but I don't know. I just don't, for me, see Boston as a fit for him. By the way,
the only reason I see Boston is because they're in a different situation than the Flyers. Because, like, look, the Flyers, and why I think, like, again, why Tortorella was starting to get frustrated here is because the Flyers are legit in a rebuild. Like,
right,
you see, they're actually getting rid of some like mid 20 age players and starting to bring in like 20, 21-year-olds where they're in a legit rebuild.
Right.
Whereas Boston, they're just in a retool. Where it's like, now look, they got rid of Marchand, they got rid of Carlo, but they brought in Middlestat, they brought in Fraser Minton.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And now, like, depending on what they do in the offseason, maybe sign somebody, make a couple of trades. That's why I think, and like Alex said, if that is a room that's a bit fractured, you bring in a guy like Torts, and that's one thing Torts does do is he can fix a locker room. And even if look, if Boston has any aspirations of actually being competitive in the next couple of years, a guy like Torts might actually fit there pretty well because he'll get the most out of your players. He'll get the most out of Middlestat. He'll get the most out of a Pavel Zacha, or Morgan Geekie, guys that are maybe like need to take that next step, you know?
I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that though. I mean, I still think you can bring in a more modern day coach that could be one of the guys that's a little more on the tough side. But even though bringing in a more modern day guy with a modern day approach that best the young players react to better, and then maybe some of the problems in the locker room that they're having will go away.
Oh yeah,
I will.
Sure.
So I want to say one thing about Boston. It won't be as easy as you think to make this an instant retool. They only have 11 skaters under contract next year.
Yeah,
they
and
have
no
a
draft
lot of work they have to do. They have 4 defensemen and 7 forwards. And one of those forwards is Jeffrey Veal, and I don't even know who the hell that is. So, if we want to exclude whatever that is, they have 10. No disrespect to Jeffrey Veal, I just don't know who that is. So,
I don't think Torts is the right guy there.
I would say, and they also lost Charlie Coyle too, who's another big piece. He's a legit middle 6 guy. I mean, he added Middlestat, but they've got some decisions to make. Morgan Geekie.
And personally, I think when you say it's a retool, but I think they've got like a heavy retool to do there.
Yeah, I could see them being in a 1-2 year retool rebuild potentially too. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to Boston, but we'll see.
We'll see. Ottawa.
He's also from Boston.
But
he is. He's from Peabody.
Oh, I see. That's something I didn't know, but so that might be. But still, all right. If you want to hear more about the firing and this, the Flyer podcast did like an emergency podcast talking about it, and I was a fill-in last minute to start the show, and I thought I did a good job.
You did do a good job, Rick. I appreciate
Check it out.
it.
But check it out. It is on. You'll find it. I don't know.
My bowling league ran a little late that night.
But check it out. I have to say, for last minute fill-in, I had fun. I was talking mostly with Eric to start, and I thought we did a pretty good job talking about that for the first 15 minutes. So just go check out the first 15 minutes. And
just the first 15.
Yeah, because that's where I'm in. But yeah, go check that out if you want to hear more, because we went into a lot more in depth about it on that. So we're gonna move on here. And we're gonna move on to Alex Ovechkin and his chase for the goal scoring champion record. And I don't think it's in doubt with 5 goals to go to take it over that he's going to do that. He is running out of time, surprisingly. Like I thought he would be. I don't know. I thought he would have done it by now. But my original guess when we started talking about it was the last day of the season. And I'll tell you what, it's starting to look like that might be where he hits it.
That's about on pace for where he's at right now. He's I think the Capitals have 9 games left and he needs 5 to break it.
He needs 5 to break it. Yeah, he needs 5. The number is to break the record. So he needs 4 to tie, 5 to break it. So
imagine if he ties it and we have to wait all summer just for him to score 1 goal.
That was my original guess. My very original guess is he ties it on the last day and then has to wait till next season. And then I thought, he's going to break it on the last day. That kind of.
And you know who they play on the last day? The Pittsburgh Penguins. It would be
right. And isn't that appropriate?
Justice.
He came in the year before Crosby. And back in those days, that was the big, like everyone was talking about those 2 guys, right? Crosby and Ovechkin. That's what it was. It's so appropriate that if he would break that record that day and somehow Crosby's in front of and he scores. And I think that would be so appropriate.
The only unfortunate thing is the game would be in Pittsburgh, but I would still love that. So there's 2 games I'd like to see him break it on if it's this year. Either April 13 against the Blue Jackets, because that game would be the last home game Washington has that year, or that game against Pittsburgh that you mentioned. We were both wrong with our prediction date when he was going to break it. I said it'd be against the Flyers because everything always happens to us like that. Cam said it was going to be against the Bruins, and unless he puts up 5 goals tomorrow, that's not happening.
Wouldn't that be something, though, that he breaks it by putting up 5 goals?
I think we'd have to keep tabs on Cam for the next month.
And that would be appropriate because something you guys don't know. When Wayne Gretzky got 50 goals in 39 games, he went into that last game when he broke it needing 5 goals. And he got 5.
Gretzky
it would kind of be, again, an appropriate thing but it won't happen. He's not going to get 5 against Boston tomorrow.
Or will he?
No,
it's possible, but how many guys get 5 in a game anyway at any time? Right?
That's super rare. No, look, I think, look, he has. I just did some quick math. He has 37 goals this season in 57 games. So that comes out to 0.64 goals per game. So if he needs 5,
I did that math before.
It should take him 6 or 7 games. So
no, he had 9 games.
I did the math when he needed 7, and it came out. My figuring came out on the last day of it. He's going to break it on the last day.
My math says Columbus, so it's going to be one of those Columbus back-to-backs. Well,
I think, like I said, I hope it's either that game or it's the final game against Pittsburgh. Rick, that is a creepy picture, by the way.
How's that creepy?
You look like you're staring into my soul on that.
I used that picture for so many thumbnails. Now you tell me it's creepy. I guess I creep people out. It's better. Okay, wait. It's better than this one. You want to see the other one?
Let's see the other one.
It's better than this one.
Oh, my God. Yeah, never mind. We'll go with the 4.
I'm leaving that one now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Dear me.
Man.
That stopped all conversation.
Yeah, the conversation just crashed, burned, and exploded. But It's awesome though. Just what the hell is that, Rick?
Maurice Richard.
Oh my god! But
Oh, yeah.
it is awesome just from a neutral fan perspective to see this. I've always liked Ovechkin, even though he's annihilated my team. He's annihilated every team, but mine being one of the teams he's annihilated the most. It's cool just to see the makings of this level of history happening. Like Gretzky's record was deemed to be one of those unbreakable records, 894 goals.
Yeah.
And here we are now, 2025. We're 5 goals away from witnessing absolute history. I am not missing that moment. I am making sure I watch every Capitals game from I think when he's within 2 or 3. I'm not missing that moment.
And as a heads up, there's a good chance we're gonna do a live stream as he gets that close. The problem is you may have to do a couple of live streams to get it right.
But you know what? It'll be worth it.
Yeah, might be worth it. Yeah,
it will be worth it if we catch it on camera. We need to catch a moment of that magnitude on camera because it's even if it takes 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever.
Now, for me, I've never been a big Ovi fan. I liked Sidney Crosby from back in the day, and I was never an Ovi fan because I always thought he was really ugly. It's a really funny reason, and so I never liked the guy for that reason. And as shallow as that is, I'll say that is what it is. And now I'm not going to go into it, but there's the controversy here in Canada with Gretzky. And so, I'm a lot more happy that he's going to break the record at this point. But you know something? I saw an interview with Gretzky, an older one, and he said that he thinks if Mario Lemieux didn't have the injury and the issues he had, Mario Lemieux would have broken that record. Shattered it, I think is the words he used.
His goal scoring record or his overall points record?
Maybe the overall, but I think he was talking about the goal scoring, and he said Lemieux would have broken my record.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have caught him in points because he's got such a massive gap.
No, I don't think anybody will catch his assist number.
Oh, it's impossible.
Yeah, but the goals, I could I could see that. He would have Lemieux probably would have been somewhere in the 9s.
Yeah, Lemieux, I could see Lemieux catch that. He was amazing. But anyways, always going to break it. It's just a case of when. Mm-hmm. So, did we all make a prediction? I guess we did. I'm still going with he's going to do it on the last day.
That's going to be my new prediction as well. I think he does it against Pittsburgh. It'll be the last game of the year. If I had to pick a second game, he might do it. Yeah,
I'll go with Eric's Columbus. Why not?
Yeah, me too. The home game against Columbus. Yeah. It'll either be his last home game or his last game in general.
Yeah, that actually really makes a lot of sense to me. So, and I'll tell you what, I'm sure he'd love to do it in the last home game without a doubt. But I would have to think too, if you ask him if he has a second choice, I got to think it would be against Crosby.
Yeah, at Pittsburgh.
And I'm sure they're friends and all that, but it was a big, not necessarily rivalry, but everybody talked about it back then.
I think you can consider it a rivalry. Like they're good friends, I guess, off the ice now.
Yeah, a friendly rivalry.
They will compare.
They were competing without a doubt. Yeah, friendly rivalry for sure.
Well, I feel like it was more of a like oh my, I just had the word, not blanking on it. Like a manufactured rivalry in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but then again, because at one point, right? Now they're in the same division, but like before, like it was different, right? You had the Southeast or whatever it was, and
that could be. But it's because Ovi came in the year before Crosby.
No, they
came into the league the year before. 1 or maybe 2, but they were right around the same time, and they were the big guys everybody was talking about.
No, didn't they both come in the same year, the year of the lockout?
I don't think it was the same year. I believe Ovi came in the year before.
Well, no, because it was the
Ovi
lockout.
was the year before. I think Ovi was 04 and Crosby was 05.
Yeah. I'm almost positive.
And Malkin was 06, if I remember.
I would actually bet on that. I don't put money on a lot of things. I would.
No, you're right, Rick. I do remember
season that. Was 05-06.
Crosby, because he was drafted in 2005. And Ovi was the year before.
What?
Ovi was the year before.
Ovi was drafted in 04.
And he started in 05. Crosby was drafted in 05.
There was a lockout in 05.
They didn't
There
play.
was no
They
hockey.
started it the same year, but they were drafted different.
Oh,
years.
okay. You might
Yeah.
be right on that, and you might be right.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Ovi was
they-
drafted in the 04 draft,
You're
but
right.
then there was the lockout.
You're
And
And
right.
they had that weird draft lottery.
No,
Yeah,
you're
and then
right. You're
Crosby
right.
was drafted in 05, and
Yeah,
then they
yeah.
both started the 05-06
So-
season.
So that's why that rivalry, right? Because they both came into the league at the same time.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's so appropriate that he would do it on that last day. I just think. Matt, what do you think? Yeah, you're silent. Silent Matt. You ever heard of what Bob and whatever that names are? I can't remember.
Jay and
Jay
Silent
and
Bob.
Silent Bob. That's Silent Matt, his cousin.
No, look, I think he breaks it on the last day. But again, I kind of thought it would come down to the last couple games myself. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I'd love to see it. I mean, obviously, even if he ties the record and we have to wait a whole summer, we'll still end up seeing it. But it'll be cool, man. I mean, it'll cement him as the greatest goal scorer of all time. And it's not really it's rare that you get to witness a feat like that, like in any sport. A record like that. I mean, the last record that I can think of really that was close to this was LeBron breaking Kareem's all-time points record. And,
Yeah.
like
That's what I
before
was
that,
thinking
for me, it's
too.
probably Barry Bonds breaking the home run record, right? It's like it's one of those
Tom
records
Brady
where,
breaking
for
the
longest
passing
time
record.
they were thought of as untouchable, and now we're gonna witness greatness again.
So do you have to be juiced? Because Bonds was juiced, but okay, we won't get into that.
Honestly, I don't care. Baseball was more exciting back then. I don't care.
It was actually good back then. Okay, so here's the next question.
You're saying that because the Expos were still around.
That's a real reason.
Yeah, baseball would be a lot better if the Expos were still around. Does anybody break Ovi's record that he's going to set?
Ever? Or
You think there's anybody that can actually do that
in the NHL right now? The only guy I think that has an outside shot is Matthews. I don't think he's going to do it, though. I think Matthews is going to be like 150, 200 short. Probably about 100, 150 short, I'll say, actually.
And I should say that was my question. Anybody like that's around today, you think? Because we don't know the future of anybody.
Yeah, honestly, in the NHL today, no. But do I think one day someone could come in the league? Maybe. I mean, that Gavin McKenna kid is going to be a generational talent from what I'm hearing. He's going to be even better than Bedard from what rumors are saying. So, there's guys like this that are coming in the league quite often. And not quite often, but there's guys that come around like this that can completely shape-shift the league. And I will say this.
Not often, that's for sure.
I know, not often. But the NHL better do the right thing and advertise the fuck out of this, because this is how you get the national media, sports media especially, to watch your product and get the casual fan embraced. Because if you aren't doing this, you're missing a golden opportunity. You just had a smashing success with the Four Nations tournament. Advertise the shit out of this and tell the world how close Ovi is.
Yeah. They are. I mean, I think they're kind of already starting to do that. There's a big countdown on their page.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I think you might be right that they're not doing as much as I would have thought about it.
Yeah, you need to go the extra mile. Call Stephen A. Smith to talk about it on First Take. Call Fox Sports News to talk about it. Pay them a few extra bucks. This is how you get the national limelight. Because everyone loves seeing a record like this broken, even if it's a casual fan. You need to push the narrative on this as much as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're probably going to do a live stream. So look for that. And we're going to have fun with it. And it should be fun. All right. Anybody got any last thoughts on that before we move on?
No,
I'm good.
All right. So I don't know how much. I don't know how much this will affect anybody watching in the U.S., but in Canada, to watch hockey games or most of them. Rogers is a big cable company here, and they've got the existing contract, and apparently they are going to re-up because the contract is over. So they agreed to a new 12-year Canadian TV deal, $7.7 billion US. I heard 11 billion Canadian is what it comes to. Now, for fans in Canada, and then we've got Eric and myself who are here. That's not like, I don't know if that's good news. Like, I'm not happy with that.
Yeah. I kind of preferred when it was on TSN, when TSN had the rights.
Yeah.
Like personally, like even just like the I don't know if it's just a me thing, but like when the draft was on TSN, it was so much more like entertaining. There was more like you had guys actually breaking down players and whatever and this and that. And just I find the draft on ESPN, sorry, not ESPN, but on Rogers Sportsnet is just god awful. Oh god, it's awful.
They're so Leaf centric because Rogers owns part of the Leafs,
Yeah,
right?
they're a majority owner of the Leafs now.
Isn't the Blue Jays field named the Rogers Center?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Rogers.
yeah,
That's why Toronto is pushed so much because of that. So we're not happy with it, but we thought we'd mention it so anybody in Canada. Yeah, we got 12 more years of goddamn Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers.
Not happy with that. Now, you guys in the States, it doesn't affect you, I don't think, at all, right?
No. We have ESPN Plus here, so that's how we usually get it, and then it just pulls up the regional broadcast. Unless if you're from the state, then you have to use whatever your regional station is. So, for example,
so it's similar there. It's similar here.
Yeah, it's the same concept, but it's not.
Well, one of the reasons I hate Rogers so much is I have Sportsnet Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So now how that works, and they don't tell you this until you pay and you've got it, and you realize that the city that you're in, if you're in an NHL city here in Canada, you're not going to get the games for your team because you're blacked out. So, like, I thought, well, how does that make sense? Most people that are going to be buying the service are in the region of the team and you're getting blacked out. So why are you buying this if you want to see your team's games as well? Because you're not. And that's why I hate them so much. Well, one of the reasons why.
You have to pay on top of the NHL package, you have to pay for cable just to get the network, that your regional network, just to fucking watch your own team's games. It's ridiculous.
Right. I do the game streams, right? I watched, right. I do my game streams. I have to go and find it elsewhere. So now next year it's different because now Crave is doing a package and I'm going to get the games and I'm not going to get blacked out and it's going to be great. But for like $300 a year, you go, oh, but I can't get my games. Like, how does that mean?
Wait a minute.
The only time
$300 a year?
It's almost $300 I paid for this package, and it's their biggest package. And the only games that I do get from Montreal on there is if Sportsnet is carrying it.
Yeah, because
then I get the game. It's not blacked out. So it's only blacked out not because like most blackouts, because they want to sell out, right? So they black it out so people will go, right? But here it's blacked out because Rogers doesn't want basically to show you TSN's coverage of it. Unless you're in another city, then it's okay. So if it's okay in another city, why is it not okay in my city?
Because they want you to pay for the regional broadcast, because they sell the thing
right.
with Rogers is they sell every team. Like I think TSN has Ottawa.
Yeah, I know.
I've heard they have a few of them. They have a few regional contracts.
But that's not evil. I mean, that's not evil or anything.
You want us to tell you
they just paid $7.7 billion there, Rick. So they got to make their money back somehow.
That's fine, but I'm paying $300.
I know it's stupid. I think
we only have to pay
you should get every game, no blackouts.
Pay $12 a month. That's it.
$12 a month for ESPN Plus.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, isn't it 15 for Sportsnet Plus or whatever it is?
No, it's not. It's more than that.
It went up
by the month.
I think last year I saw it at 15. No,
but it depends what package, right? I've got the big package. I'm supposed to get every game. I get every game except Montreal games.
Yeah, But I have to say also, like, it includes like baseball and other stuff too.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
but it's stuff I don't watch. I don't watch
Yeah,
baseball.
I
I
know.
don't watch soccer, and I don't watch rugby, and I don't watch hand jobs behind the bench. I don't watch those things, so I don't care about it. Yeah, they have a special channel. Like, you watch girls get. Yeah, never mind. I don't know where I went with that.
Rick, do I need to call the cops?
No, it's okay. I'm not much of a perv, just a little bit.
Just a little?
Just
Okay,
a little
Master
bit.
Roshi.
Just a little bit, I promise. All right, let's move on because this is a really good time to move on. We're going to move on to the guy that's sleeping over there next to me. The NCAA, the season is done, right? So it's basically this is the playoff kind of.
It's a tournament. Yep.
But it's tournament, and then it goes to the playoffs, right? So it's the Frozen Four tournament is going on. And as a matter of fact, if you're a Habs fan, we just lost Alex, sort of. Jacob Fowler just got knocked out of the he's out.
Wasn't
right?
his fault either. BC couldn't score.
Yeah, they couldn't score for him, but he's out. So that means he's gonna be signing soon. But yeah, so the Frozen Four. Matt's gonna tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I mean, for you college hockey fans out there, this one's for you. It's been a great tournament so far. A lot of upsets, which has been great. You know, you usually it can get a little boring sometimes because most of the time the high seeds end up winning, and there's usually a few blowouts here and there. But this tournament's been great. There's really only been two that I would call blowouts. It was Penn State 5-1 over Maine, which I didn't expect. And BU beat the crap out of Ohio State 8-3. Other than that, the rest of the games were close. We had a lot of overtime. Cornell upsetting Michigan State in overtime was fantastic. Yesterday as well, Penn State and UConn for a spot in the Frozen Four went to overtime. That was fantastic. Just a great tournament. And, obviously, like Rick said, Jacob Fowler played for Boston College. He was really good in both games, great in both games. It's just last night BC couldn't score. They couldn't support him. But things happen. But he'll be signing soon. There's other prospects across the board, but I think for me, this year it's just been so many close games. A lot more parity in college hockey now. And I can't wait to watch the Frozen Four, which, in case you don't know, April 10th, 5:00 is the first game. Denver and Western Michigan, who's the number 4 overall seed, and Penn State against Boston University. So should be 2 really, really good hockey games, and we'll see what happens. And that's coming to you from St. Louis.
I gotta say, I'm kind of rooting for Western Michigan to lose so we can get Alex Bump up here. No disrespect.
Crazy too. I think this is one of the first times, only one, 3 out of the 4, the top 4 overall seeds, didn't make the Frozen Four. The only team, Western Michigan, who's the number 4 overall seed, is the only one of those teams that didn't make it.
Is that where Hage plays?
2 of those teams got knocked out in the first round.
Is Michigan? Is that where Hage plays, or that's not the college?
Hage is at Michigan, the University of Michigan, not Western Michigan. Michigan State going down to Cornell. That was an upset and a half.
Yeah, that was big.
That was crazy. That's the number 2 overall C2 of Michigan State with Trey Augustine gone.
That game was like the equivalent of seeing a 2-15 game in the NCAA tournament. That's how big of an upset.
Yeah, in the basketball tournament for sure. Yeah. That was a great game. That went to OT. BU and Cornell went to OT as well. That was a great game. I got a little scared. I'm a BU guy myself, but that was a great game. But yeah, I think last night Penn State UConn went to OT. Probably the game of the tournament so far. Both goaltenders were outstanding. Callum Tung, who was at UConn, but I read earlier today that he is going to be signing his ELC. I forget with whom, but he's leaving after his first year. And then
did they lose that? Whoever that guy is, did he lose?
Yeah, UConn lost to Penn State.
I heard they Calvin. I heard he really got licked bad.
In the
Bad
tournament,
Calvin Tung. Calvin Tongue.
Yeah.
Get the joke? Yeah, where is that? I need that.
So
he got bulldozed. I think he
Got
was
licked.
really in the game last night. I don't remember. But and then the goaltender for Penn State, who's just been insanely impressive. I forget his first name. His last name is Sergeyev. He's been tremendous. He actually played at UConn for 2 years before he transferred to Penn State, which is kind of funny. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to these Frozen 4 games. You know, if I had to pick,
that's my question.
Unbiasedly, probably Denver and BU in the final, but I think BU and Penn State probably goes to overtime. And we'll see what happens. But again, they're going to be 2 really, really great games. And I think if it's Denver and BU, I think it's a rematch. I want to say 2 years ago.
I think that's what it was.
I believe so. Lane Hudson's freshman year, which, by the way, if you didn't know, his 2 brothers play for BU and are really, really good.
There's 4 of them.
Actually combined for the game winner at against Cornell, which was pretty sweet.
How many Hudson brothers are there?
There's fucking 4 of them.
4 of them.
Jesus.
Lane, Laz, Quinn, and Cole.
If they can all hold on to the puck the way Lane does, that's all you need on the ice, those 4 guys.
Oh, Cole can. Quinn's a forward. Not the best stick handler. Wicked shot though, and just high hockey IQ. He's not Cole or Lane. I don't know anything about Laz, but I mean, if you're Hudson, you're just really, really good. that's basically what it is.
It seems like that. Yeah.
And you go to Boston University.
So let's move on to prospects. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about prospects before we talk about the ELC signings? No?
No, not really. The only other guy but I didn't hear his name called all that much in the Denver against BC game, but Sam Harris, who plays at Denver, he's a Habs prospect. Had a pretty solid year again. But again, I didn't really hear his name called all that much last night. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But
all right.
My father was great. It's just BC couldn't score.
And by the way, while I'm thinking about it, if you have any comments and want to comment on anything that we've said here, please do that. Leave a comment in the comment section, and I will read it, and I will get the appropriate person to answer you, or I will answer myself. So we'd love to hear from you. Leave some comments in the comment section, and let us know if we're being stupid. Well, they are, not me. Or, whatever you think about whatever we're talking about here. All right. So since he has nothing to say about prospects, we've got some signings that happened today. And one we're expecting to happen pretty much any time now. So the first one I read about, I think it was the first one that happened, was Ryan Leonard, who is the guy that I was hoping Montreal was going to take when the year they drafted Reinbacher and didn't take Michkov. So Ryan Leonard signed with the Capitals after 2 years, I believe, in college. Am I right?
I believe so.
Yes, this was the second year. Yep.
Yeah.
2 years.
So he's look. I mean, I'm looking forward to see what he looks like in the NHL since we were very high on him, me and Matt.
Yes.
From Montreal to grab him, and it's not to say we don't like Reinbacher, but that is the guy that we were hoping to get. And then later in the day, Gabe Perreault signed with, I want to say, the Rangers.
Yep, correct.
So there's 2 guys. Now, was that the same draft, Gabe Perreault? That was the same draft, wasn't it?
Yes. Perreault was
23rd
overall.
Friggin' loaded draft.
Yeah,
23rd overall pick. Perreault, if there was a redraft, he would be a lot higher than 23 right now.
Yeah, so good signings by those guys. I did not get whether either of them will make an appearance this year. Do you guys know?
So Leonard will make his debut tomorrow. That's what I'm hearing against the Bruins, funny enough. And
it worked out for him because he just flew right back from Pennsylvania from the hockey tournament.
Exactly. And he's from Amherst.
I'm going to go 15 minutes that way to the Garden and meet up with my NHL team.
And he's from Amherst, Mass, so it fits out well for him, too.
Fun fact, actually, his brother John Leonard, who he was in the Pred system, but I think he got traded. Won a championship with UMass, which sucked for me, but
is about 12
was
of them.
good for Alicia. And Alicia actually was in a few classes with him and Cale McCarr.
That's
Fun
cool.
fact.
Nobody, which UMass? There's about 12 of them.
Amherst.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, and then Gabe Peralt signed with the Rangers. The rumor is he'll make his debut, I believe Wednesday was the date they said, against the Wild. But that one hasn't been confirmed yet. But those are two big signings, especially Leonard. He's supposed to be making an immediate impact there.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious to see how that. I mean, they're making the playoffs. There's no doubt, but
Yeah.
I mean, he could really help. He could really help their chances potentially, with in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For them, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. Like they're going to get the 1 seed in that division. They're going to get the 1 seed in the East overall. The only team that they're battling for is the President's Trophy with Winnipeg and maybe even Dallas.
Right.
But other than that, that's about all they're fighting for right now. But yeah, playoff time is Brian Leonard is a good, skilled, complete game forward. Like he's good. He has top line potential. That kid's going to be very good. Yeah, and Gabe Peralt too. Oh, do we have breaking?
Yeah, Gabe,
nice.
What's that?
Red Sox news.
Oh, but Gabe Peralt, you think he helps the Rangers?
Oh yeah, listen, this kid
he gets to the playoffs. That's how he doesn't give them a lift into the playoffs.
I said this: if the Flyers could have done it, I wanted them to take Perot over Bonk. I like Oliver Bonk, but I'd much rather have taken Gabe Perot with the 22nd pick in 2023. If Danny went Mitchkov Perot, we would have had a flawless draft. But
yeah, my concern now is though is he going to help the Rangers get past Montreal into the
playoffs? He could. He is definitely he's top 6 potential for sure.
Yeah, that's what
I mean. He'll also have an immediate impact. Maybe not to the degree of Ryan Leonard, but
they're young, so I mean, I don't know that they're going to. I don't see Perot pushing the Rangers over the top into the playoffs, but he could be a big help. He could definitely.
I'm looking at the playoff hunt right now. And the Rangers are probably your biggest threat, realistically.
They are. No,
the Isles have a fucking gauntlet of a schedule left.
Yeah, the Rangers is really the team that worries me the most.
I wouldn't close the book on Columbus yet.
No.
Oh, true. Columbus, yeah. No, those two. I think those two are.
Detroit's dead. I don't give a shit that they won the.
Well, but Columbus and Detroit aren't they even up? No.
Detroit's only 3 points back, but right. That team's just I'm so sick of the Yzer scam.
Yeah, but the problem is there's enough games that if it goes, it can go their way. But I don't think so. I think it is between the Rangers and the Jackets and the Habs.
Yeah, it's likely. Those are the 3 likely teams. Like I said, if the Isles, I know the Isles and Detroit are technically tied, but if the Isles had a little bit easier of a schedule, I could at least trust them a bit because they actually have legitimacy in net.
Right.
And some competence behind the bench.
True.
I don't know what the fuck Detroit's doing. Like that team just angers me.
And yet there's, listen, they're right there. But I agree. I don't think Detroit's going to make it, but watch once they make it. Okay, let's get back to the other signing that hasn't happened yet, but is going to happen according to right here. Marco D'Amico, he says, from my conversations with Fowler, that's Jacob Fowler, it's a formality as to when he signs. The situation right now is simply to determine where it's best for him to start. Yeah. He signs his ELC effective immediately. If he signs, it's Montreal. If he signs an AHL tryout and delays his ELC to 25-26, it's Laval. So, where now I was reading, and I don't remember who it was. I think it's Brian Wild, who's a writer here in Montreal. I believe he thinks that if he's leaving college this year, which seems like he is, that he's going to get at least 1 game in Montreal. But getting 1 game in Montreal burns the first year of the ELC.
I thought it was 9.
No.
It depends. It depends what he signs. Because he could sign a contract and then
get a call-up type thing?
You could sign a contract and just to bring, because a lot of players are doing this. They just want to burn that first year.
Yeah, you burn the first year.
Yeah.
And he's with the team. and he's with the big club. But the
I
other
think he
way,
can also no, I think he can. Yeah, he could play for the big club, but he can also be sent down to Laval as well. If
well,
it's
then
just,
he has then he'll sign a contract with Laval, and his ELC will only kick in next year.
What you're talking about is it's basically the college players. What they do is they sign an ATO, an amateur tryout,
Yeah,
for the remainder of the year,
right,
with Laval,
and then he gets called up.
And then next year the entry level kicks in. But they can also, like some players just really want to burn that first year. It's a lot of like with the Cutter Gauthier situation with the Flyers. Is Cutter wanted that contract and he wanted to burn that first year.
Yeah.
And the Flyers were like, no, well, listen, we don't want you in this situation right now. Our locker room is shit, whatever. We'll sign you in the summer and we'll sign you to an ATO if you want, but you go on a playoff run with the Phantoms, but he didn't want to do that. So those are basically the two options that college players have at the end of the season.
Okay, so there's no option that if he's going to get that one game this guy was talking about, he's burning the first year if he does that, right?
Yeah, he would have to sign an actual contract.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
This year would be year one, even though he only plays 1 or 2 games.
Like Hudson did last year. Hudson played 2 games at the end of the year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you burn that first year. It just brings them a year closer to UFA.
That's right.
By the end of the contract. But by the end of their whatever the CBA says, that the 7 years of service or whatever it is there.
So Matt, you're listening up there. What do you think the odds are that they do that? They burn the first year with Fowler and sign him right away too.
I mean, and look, I love Jacob Fowler. This is not a knock against him. He's the best goalie prospect in hockey for a reason. It doesn't make sense to put him with the big club because it just doesn't make sense to play him when you're in a playoff hunt like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's so young, he hasn't played NHL hockey. Like, you're not.
Yeah.
Unless they have the last wild card spot locked up with a couple games left. But
then is it
where
worth
they're at right now? It doesn't make sense.
But then is it worth burning the first year? And I don't think they're going to have this problem like with Cutter Gauthier with Fowler. If they say, listen,
no, that's why
you're starting with us next year, you'll be in camp, we'll burn you know what I mean? I don't think he's going to give a problem over that because he really wants to be a Hab. There's no doubt about that. No, but I think
be a Flyer.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same thing though. Fowler grew up a Habs fan, got strong Montreal ties. He wants to be here. That's not a problem. So yeah, I think you'll go to Laval.
Yeah.
You'd put Fowler ahead of Askarov?
He'll get a playoff.
I just want to ask you that, Woody. Would you put Fowler ahead of Askarov?
I mean, I don't really consider Askarov a prospect anymore because
I think then that's different.
You know why? Because Askarov's been with the Sharks most of the season.
Right. He's not a prospect
anymore. I thought he got sent back down, didn't he?
But he was injured, or it was conditioning or some shit like that. I think he's been with the Sharks. I don't think he's a prospect anymore.
I thought he got
It depends how many games he's been in. It depends how many NHL games he's played. Mm-hmm. And as a goalie, it's not as many as a skater, obviously. And then they're not a prospect.
I don't consider him a prospect anymore.
If he's played 10 games or more, he's not a prospect anymore.
He's played 13 games this year.
Yeah, I don't think that. I honestly, I don't think he's a prospect. But then depends where he is. If he's down in the minors, he may still be considered a prospect. Now, what was the question though about him?
He hasn't played with the Sharks since the 30th. No, all I asked Shorty was, would you put Fowler ahead of Askarov? But he didn't consider Askarov as a prospect. Without
Fowler making the NHL like I play a game or two yet, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I think Fowler's a prospect. I wouldn't call him the best goalie prospect if you consider Askarov a prospect. He's probably 2, which isn't a knock on him.
Well, but Askarov hasn't made it yet fully.
So do you consider Askarov a prospect anymore?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know where they draw the line for that, right? But now the question of is he better or whatever. I mean, you have to have Askarov a little ahead. He's been a professional a little longer. But I kind of think Fowler's potential and ceiling might be higher.
Oh, by the way, just quick. Frank Saravalli just reported that the Rangers signed Caleb Tung to a contract.
It's a Ranger. Yeah.
Agent.
Yep. That was the team.
I don't even know who that is.
He's
The
goalie
kid that
for
we were just
UConn.
talking about, the
One and
UConn
done.
goalie.
Yeah, that's the guy
okay,
that Nordy
okay.
was talking about.
Okay, so we got one last thing to talk about here. I don't know if it's like a personal thing, reason I wanted to do this. Refs, we all kind of don't know what to expect from refs anymore. So apparently, players are starting to talk out about the refs. It happened in the Islanders. This was last week? Not like
Yes.
a few games ago, right? There was a call or goal called back, or something that happened that it should have been a goal, and I saw it, and I thought that should have been a goal.
That was a big game for you guys. I was at Isles Blue Jackets game.
Right.
The game was tied at 3 late, and there was a goal called back because Kyle Palmieri kind of brushed the netminder. I don't know who was in net for the Blue Jackets off the top of my head, but Palmieri kind of brushed right on the edge of the crease. It's kind of debatable if he was in the crease or not. Made a little bit of contact with them, came out, and the goalie had about a second or two to readjust, and then the puck beat him.
But he had a second or two to readjust, and a second or two is a lot for a goalie. Yeah. He should have time to.
It was definitely a suspect call, I will say, even with them trying to go with the crease argument they've been going with this year, because you could even debate if Palmieri was even in the crease or not. It was pretty borderline close. But
yeah. So this is what Horvath said. To be honest, that's one of the worst no-goal calls I've ever seen. Palmieri said, I think it was fucking embarrassing. So that's one. Now, Thursday we played the Flyers, and there was a goal called back for a guy. Is that what it was? Guy in the crease, and there was a goal.
Yeah, it wasn't called back. They ended up calling in a goal.
Right, and it was the so it was a goal.
Brink may have been goalie interference.
Right, it was a goal against Montreal, and it was if I've seen that it was interference. It wasn't like egregious. It wasn't.
It was a weird play.
I thought it should be, and I don't think I was being biased there. Okay. I guess I
was actually listening to your stream afterwards, Rick. I thought you were agreeing with the call afterwards. And I thought Nordy was trying to push for it.
You might be right. That's why I'm
trying to remember. You were like saying, I don't think that's goalie interference, and Nordy was the one that was saying he thought it may have been.
I think you're right. I think I thought that he didn't. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because that's how it shows how close. I wouldn't have cared either way.
Anyways, you're right. I think my opinion was that, and then Nordy's was the other. But that's how we don't know what interference is anymore.
Right. Who knows?
Right. So I think that's the point. Gallagher obviously didn't like it, and he's talking about the refs in this. I guess just their calls in general too. And I thought it was interesting that somebody's calling out the refs. A player thought it was ballsy. And we're going to show it to you. So just give me a second, and then we'll talk about it. Nope. I think I added it, and now I'm going to play it.
What about the goal?
I mean, guys, we watch, we see what's going on. You know, the Palmieri goal, the goal we had called back. He skates in the crease on his own. He gets in Dober's way. That's what they've been calling. That's the standard. And then, you know, it seems to go against us every single time. It's incompetence. We need someone in there who can show consistency that the players are asking. I mean, I don't know who's making the decisions. Players are frustrated all over the league. It seems like there's zero consistency, and it needs to change. We got to get people in there who understand the game, and, you know, we're not getting that right now.
All right, hang on. Let's get us back. So, I really like that because if you watch me at all, you know my stance on the refs. And, I mean, he calls them incompetent, which they are, and there's no consistency. So, for me, when I saw that, it was like, finally, I'm seeing a player not afraid to say that. And I'm expecting these guys are going to get fined because I don't think they're supposed to talk about the refs like that. Right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I mean... I guess. I don't think he got anything.
They didn't get fined. I'm kind of surprised. But I'm really happy, and it's not a bias against Montreal. He says it. Players all across the league are frustrated and basically don't understand what a call is anymore.
Yeah. No, well, listen, they actually touched on it a bit on 32 Thoughts on today's
Oh, yeah?
pod, and even a couple pods ago too. And what Friedman said, and like the explanation that he got, the difference between like the Palmieri, and there was even another one, I forget which other one it was, but the difference between those and the one against Montreal, and this is the explanation that was given to the players and to the teams, is that if it would have, like, because Brink interfered with Dobish, but like on the opposite side that he
It was like
so
behind
basically
him. Yeah.
exactly, it was on the opposite side, so he didn't impede him actually making the save because the save was made on Dobish's glove side, but the interference happened on the blocker side, and
Mhm.
and the interference didn't, but like Palmieri interfered with well, I forget what goalie it was, but anyway, on the blocker side, and that's where the goal went in. So that's the explanation that they gave to Friedman, and that's what he told us, and he doesn't seem to agree with it either. So he goes,
Yeah, I guess I was wrong, but the Canadians one, I kind of thought it was okay, but you know what? They gotta make a decision. Maybe they gotta go back to if you're in the crease at all. It's like they gotta do something and be consistent about it.
Because the issue I see with an explanation like that, Eric, is like, again, sort of similar to what happened against the Canadians, but like, Bobby Brink's skate basically kept kind of kept Dobish from making the complete slide over, if that makes sense, because of where it was. So again, like, if you're saying that's not it because it's on the other side of the ice, that's not interference. Well, but that's could directly impede his ability to get over to make the save on the glove side.
Yeah,
So shouldn't it still be interference? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it brings up questions like that where it's like, well, that doesn't make sense because something can happen on one side that stops the goalie from getting over on the other side. But if your explanation is, well, the goal went in over there, not over here, so it's not interference. Like, you know what I mean?
Tell you on that one. I'm gonna tell you, as a Habs fan, and I should be biased, I don't think it impeded him.
No, I don't think it did. But I'm just saying, like, a similar play like that could happen where it legitimately does. But if the explanation is, well, that happened on this side of the ice, the goal went in over here, it's not interference. Well, I'm sorry, but you stopped the goaltender from getting over to make that save.
Now, listen,
you know what I mean? It could really bring up a lot of issues there, and
I think they got to do something to make that a thing where take the decision away from the goddamn refs and make it more clear. If this happens, it's interference, and that's it. Right? If the guy is pushed in, okay. But if he's in there on his own, and even if he doesn't impede the save, he's in there standing, and I think maybe that should be just it, flat out. This is the rule. Because they leave it up to these guys, the refs or whoever's in the goddamn booth, and from one call to the next, you don't know what you're going to get at all.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
They get it right. Sometimes they don't. And sometimes you got to look and go, what the fuck? What? And that can't be right.
But like, I have to say though, at least this year, like, yeah, look, the Montreal one, they didn't get the benefit of that on that one. But I find like maybe we don't like the way they're calling it this year, but they actually have been a lot more consistent. It's like basically if you're in the crease, any part of your body is in the crease and makes the slightest contact with the goalie, it's a no goal. And that's why, like,
I'm fine with that.
That should be the rule.
That they gave for the Montreal goal counting kind of also didn't make sense because Brink was in the crease. He did touch the goalie.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, but because he was making the save over there and he came in from the opposite side.
And there's the inconsistency.
But that's okay because and that's it. And that's why, like I said, again, Freeman was also confused on his show, saying like, but I don't understand. Like he didn't understand the explanation.
I just thought of it. Wasn't the other goal that Freeman talked about was that Isles Habs game that happened too? If I remember correctly. And I think it was one that favored the Habs, funny enough.
Yeah, we got a call. That you might be right. That's when
I think that was the other one that it was.
Because I think we were all sure it was going to get called back, and they gave it to us.
So,
but again, right? You don't know, and then with not knowing for players who don't know what's going to get called and what's not,
right?
It kind of encourages them to do things because, well, it might not get called, right?
Right.
If there was more consistency, now I get refs can miss things. Everyone's human. You might not. You could miss something, but
that's what review's for. Like if you go to a review and you still miss it, well, then that's a problem.
There's a problem there's a problem with the refs. And listen, these guys are not really supposed to call out the refs like that. They're not. For him to do that, and Palmieri and Horvat, and their coaches now are starting to really, right? If that's happening, there's a fucking problem that has to be acknowledged and done something about.
I agree. Like I said too, it's just again, that explanation on why the Flyers goal counted again and again. I don't care that it did, but I'm just saying the precedent that sets is, like I said, like what if during the playoffs a goalie tries to push across, but someone's in the crease and his skate gets hung up and he can't get all the way across to make a save. Okay, well then by the explanation that we were given, it's not goalie interference because it happened here and the goal went in on over there. But it's but then again, that's interference because you're keeping the goalie from getting over to make the save. So how do you call it? You know what I mean? Like that's what I don't like that explanation because again, it just leaves too much up to interpretation.
But there'll be a new explanation.
Yeah.
They'll just have a new explanation. And that's the thing. Yeah. It's like they don't even know, and then it's their explanations are reactive to each. They come up with they don't even remember what they said last time. It's like it's so confusing, And then besides all the bullshit calls that are phantom calls, I don't know what they saw or exaggerating. And then we just saw this with Gallagher, and I said he's going to get called. Like, watch and see how the refs react to him and the other things that they're going to let go against him. And it happened in the last game. One of the who did we play the last game? Sorry.
Oh, the Panthers, yeah.
One of the guys just grabbed Galley's stick and just skated away with it out of his hands. And Galley's standing there looking at the ref like, what? No call. You can't grab a guy's stick and pull it out of his hands and skate away. So Galley's for standing up, watch, he's gonna get penalized more, and then they're gonna look away when things happen to him. And I knew that was gonna happen.
Well, it'll probably happen to other players that do it too, right? Like watch Palmieri now, watch Horvat now.
Because instead of getting better and improving, they'll just punish people who talk out about it.
Yeah, true.
That's what goes on everywhere now, especially where you guys are. All right, anybody got any last minute things to add or last things to add to that?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. So, let us know in the comment sections what you thought about that, especially the refs. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about. You might not have seen that Gallagher thing. So, really interested to see what you guys think about that. And, on that note, we're going to take off. We're going to end it here. We'll be back next week. Don't know what cast will be and don't know what exactly we'll talk about. Hopefully something big will happen. And that's it. So before you go, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you next week. Thanks for being here. And I'm going to stop talking now, I think. Ciao, everybody.
Thanks for watching.